Okay, it is time to make some yummy cinnamon rolls. I have been desperate for some delicious bready tasting stuff. So we're going to use our dough enhancer and the Vital Wheat gluten to puff up our wheat bread here. Since I'm still very desperate for some yummy cinnamon rolls, I'm only going to use, at least right now, 2 cups of the wheat flour to 6 cups of the white flour. Sorry, this is my tub of white flour. This is not the way you can store it if you live in somewhere like Arizona or Florida where it's hot and humid, because you'll get weevils growing in it. But in Utah, we've got the cold weather, the winter will freeze the weevil eggs. Sorry, gross, huh? But there's weevil eggs in most flour products, so Utah, we don't really have a problem with it as much. And I always whisk the powdered eggs because it's 10 times easier. It absorbs so much easier when you're whisking it rather than trying to get a fork or a spoon to stir it. It gets clumpy. And alright, and I was taught in high school that you'd never pour your product over the mixture in the liquid because you're bound to spill more than you actually need. And though I was taught this, sometimes I'm lazy and just do it anyway. So, no judging here. If you do that too, I am okay with that. And if you don't, well then, good for you for being a precise cook. So, I just kind of stir it in there just a little bit so that it can start letting the yeast rise. And that's just mixing, so I'll just start adding my flour. Like I said, I'm doing 2 cups of wheat flour to 6 cups of white flour. Bread flour, I particularly like. And I'm just going to let it mix. And then after it's mixed for about 2 or 3 minutes, I'll put in the Vital Wheat gluten and the dough enhancer. And then after all of that is mixed, I'll just start putting in the last cups of flour until it starts to creep up on the blade. And at that point you want to take it off and stop it, because otherwise it's going to get into the gear and that's no fun to clean. And you don't want grease in your dough. So, the consistency that you want the bread to be. This is almost there. Just get closer and show you. If you can see with my hand, when I pull it out, it's sticking to my finger and it's leaving sticky on my finger. And that's not what you want. Okay, so now the dough, I can hold it with my hand and I pull my fingers off and it doesn't stick. Well, okay, it has a stick to it, but it's not sticking to me. So that's where we want the dough to be. I made the mistake when I was younger of putting flour under it, and that just makes it so it scoots all over the counter. You want it to kind of hold to the counter while you roll it so that you can make it a good rectangle. Bread making is a good workout when you make it from scratch. It gives you muscles. Okay, so now I have the center brown sugar cinnamon mixture all mixed up, and yes, I do have old brown sugar that I'm dealing with. Oops, it's all clumpy. So I threw it in the microwave for just a minute to kind of help get rid of some of the clumps. All right, and like I said, it doesn't have to be perfectly even. Just make sure there's some down the middle. Okay, next, you just want to carefully, loosely, kind of roll it. And who knows what this wheat's gonna do to me. It may very well make the whole thing not rise. Wouldn't that be great? So now that I've got that, I have just floss, regular floss, and I'm just going to go down the line, slide it underneath, bring it up, twist it, and pull it down the center so that it cuts your cinnamon roll. And you can make them as tall, an inch, you can make them 1/4 of an inch, you can make them pretty short. The very ends are going to be pretty pathetic looking cinnamon rolls. These centers are going to look really large. So if you want to make those smaller cuts, you may. But if you like to have big old fat cinnamon rolls, no big deal. Make it a big fat one. For the frosting, if you have vanilla that's the clear vanilla, use the clear vanilla because this frosting is supposed to be white. And a half of a cup of butter. This is for a half recipe. I'll just throw that in there, lock it, and let it go.